Hi team, great to see you, good to see you, excellent. We're going to do a practice question again today, and the one I've chosen is the one that I've shared in the classroom, and it goes along the lines of this. Let's see, it says discuss, here it is, discuss the economic arguments for and against providing free hospital treatment to patients. Now, it's a bit of an unusual sort of question, one you wouldn't necessarily expect to see all the time in your exam. It is about government expenditure, and it is a for and against, so you do need those two halves. It is again worth 6 marks. So you'd be wanting to spend 9 minutes, right, maximum. All right. With regards to your time management, you could probably get through it in about 5 to 6, I would suggest. So discuss the arguments for it. Right. So if we're going to provide hospital treatment, then things that it will do, this will encourage people to engage with healthcare, whereas they may not otherwise, because they may not be able to afford it. This should increase productivity. Again, apologise about my handwriting, it's really not great. Increase productivity. Increasing output, possibly revenue for the government, from taxation, and may also increase employment as people have more jobs, spend more jobs again, all right, as there's an increase in demand for products. So then we need to do a however, because we need to do the other side. So that was the for side, then we need to do against. This could cost the government money, it will cost the government money. This may lead to debt, may need to raise taxes, consumers may overuse the service because it is free. When you do this in IB, you'll be talking about moral hazard. You'll be talking about, the idea that a government provides a service and you overuse it because it's free. So there's a couple of reasons there that may be good for and against for providing free hospital treatment for the consumers of your economy. Then if we have a look at the next one, this one won't take us very long either. Okay, this one is analyse how a fall, so it's an analyse question, a fall in the rate of interest might affect your exchange rate. Again, that is 6 marks, so 9 minutes. Hello, come on. 9 minutes, no problem. 9 minutes max. Right, this one's a little bit more straightforward, and what we need to do with this one is to look at it from the point of view of the interest rates, and if there's a fall in the interest rates, you need to make sure it is the fall, it is the decrease. So if interest rates decrease, this will lead less investment from overseas. Right, remembering that overseas investors are attracted to invest in your economy because of the interest rates. So if the interest rates have decreased, then investing in the country is perhaps less interesting for them, less attractive for them, I should say. Interest rates decreases will lead to less investment from overseas. This could decrease the demand for currency. You might like to include a diagram there illustrating the demand for the currency decreasing. Okay, right, you need it to be accurate. Right. To show the exchange rate change. So that's a decrease in demand there. They could also lead to a, let's talk about from a domestic point of view, a reduction in current investment. Okay, so when we talk about economic development, we actually refer to something called capital flight. Now, typically you think about things like the stability of the government, corruption, scandals, all of those sorts of things as being a contributor to capital flight. But in this case, the capital flight is based around the economic situation where there's been a decrease in interest rates. So capital flight, it should lead to a increase in the supply of the currency. Which depreciates, running out of space or value. Right, so that shows a depreciation there. And that's really all you'd need. Okay, there is more that you could discuss. You could talk about investment domestically and what might happen there, consumption domestically, what might happen there. It might encourage more consumption, so that includes, part of that consumption includes consumption of imports, so therefore there might be more imports coming in, therefore more demand for the currency, and the currency might go up in that case. Most often you see that if there's a decrease in interest rates, then you would expect there to be a depreciation of the currency based on the level of investment that you might see occurring. So that is 2 6-mark questions, each one around 9 minutes. The first one, as we saw, was a discuss, but it was a for and against, so you had 2 sections. And then the next one was again a 6-mark question, 9 minutes max, and it was an if statement. So instead of it being a whether or not, or in this case, what was it, for and against, this one is just if. Analyse how the fall in interest rates may affect. Right? You could make an argument that they won't affect it potentially if the interest rate is small. It may not have any effect at all on international investments, or you could make an argument where you say that the international investments are contract-based, so therefore they may not change because they're based on a fixed contract. That could be another one. Right, so what I'll do then, do you have any particular questions about the questions that I've gone through? Really? All right. Key thoughts. All right, you've got basically 6-mark questions. All right, we've got 9 minutes max. And you need to, more often than not, have 2 sections within the answers. either a for and against or a whether or not sort of scenario. Most often that they have that. You can include a model. Not in those particular questions, but sometimes models are easier to include, sometimes models are more difficult to include because then you have to explain the model and that's going to eat up your time. Right? And if you spend ages drawing the model, so you're either quicker with your writing and a bit sloppier with the model, or you don't include the model and just concentrate on the writing. If it tells you you need to use a model to explain, then yes, you have to. There's just no question about it.
If it says
may use a model, then again, it's if you can explain it without the model, that would be faster, potentially, with writing speed, but you might get more accuracy if you drew the model and then explained it.
I feel like interest rates come up a lot in exams.
They do, yes.
They're connected to many parts, if you macro and micro.
Yeah, and also international trade, economic development, probably more so when you look at IB than at IG. But yeah, and the questions I'm picking for these sessions tend to be ones that are, again, they're difficult. They're not the obvious questions that you might normally assume. So you don't often get the sort of question where it is analyse how the fall in interest rates might affect the country's exchange rate. You don't necessarily get that particularly often. And the one that you get least often is this one, discussing the economic arguments for and against providing free hospital treatment to patients. It's a government policy that they're talking about, however, so you do get the questions which say, discuss whether or not the government should, ... whatever the policy is, use fiscal expansionary policies to combat unemployment, should use expansionary monetary policies to combat unemployment, or something. Yeah. So that's what you are more likely to see. But I found that one and thought that was quite a nice, unusual one to do. All right.